You know that feeling when you finish a play or a movie and you just think, what? What did I just watch? Well, Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot is pretty much the definition of that feeling. But what if, and hear me out, the key to understanding this super confusing 20th century masterpiece is actually hiding in an ancient philosophical text from India? I know, it's a weird pairing, but stick with me, because it might just unlock everything.
This line right here, spoken by one of the main characters, Estragon, is one of the most famous lines in all of modern theater. And honestly, it just perfectly nails the whole vibe of the play. This feeling of being stuck, of helplessness, and just the heavy weight of waiting.
So for decades, right, people have been arguing about what this play actually means. But what if we look at it through a totally unexpected lens? What if we use the Bhagavad Gita? It might just reveal the play's deepest, and maybe its most tragic secrets.
Okay, so first things first. We gotta wrap our heads around the core problem in the play itself. And it really all boils down to that one central act of waiting.
So, meet our guys, Vladimir and Estragon. They are seriously caught in a loop. They have no idea why they're waiting or what's even going to happen if this mysterious Godot guy ever shows up. They're just paralyzed by this vague hope, trapped in a kind of anxiety and indecision that feels, well, it feels really, really modern.
All right, so to find our way through this bizarre world, we're going to bring in a pretty unexpected guide. We're turning to the Bhagavad Gita, which is a foundational text of Hindu philosophy, to see if its ancient wisdom can maybe shine a little light on this modern darkness.
And this right here, this lays out the whole dynamic we're exploring. On one side, you've got Beckett's play, the poster child for existential dread and just being stuck. And on the other, you have the Gita, a text that is all about finding purpose by taking meaningful action. I mean, it's the perfect philosophical showdown.
So let's really break this down. We're going to look at 3 key ideas from the Gita and see how they actually map onto the world of Waiting for Godot. First up, karma. Now, a lot of us in the West think of karma as just, what goes around comes around. But in the Gita, it's way deeper than that. It's really about the necessity of doing your duty, of taking meaningful action in the world without getting all hung up on what you're going to get out of it.
And here, the difference is just, whoa, it's night and day. The Gita, with Krishna's voice, basically says that purposeful action is essential for life itself. But in Godot's world, Vladimir and Estragon, they try to act. They talk about leaving, they try to help people, but every single attempt just fizzles out into nothing. It is the absolute perfect picture of paralyzing inaction.
Okay, on to our second concept, kala, or time. The Gita doesn't see time as a straight line like we usually do. Instead, it's this huge, eternal cycle that just keeps on turning.
And you can see this so clearly in the way the play is built. Act 2 is almost a carbon copy of Act 1. The little messenger boy always shows up with the exact same news. Godot's not coming today, but for sure, he'll be here tomorrow. For them, time isn't progress, it's a prison, and it's on repeat.
And our final concept is Maya. This is the idea of illusion, this kind of veil that hides what's real. It creates all these false hopes and ideas that keep us from seeing the truth, and ultimately cause a lot of suffering. So here's the absolute kicker. In the Gita, Krishna teaches that you have to become detached, to see past the illusion of Maya, to find true freedom. But in the play, the characters are completely trapped by it. You could say Godot is Maya. He is this imagined hope, this huge illusion that keeps them waiting and stops them from ever taking real, meaningful action for themselves. So, does the Gita just solve the puzzle of the play and give us a nice, tidy answer? Not exactly. In fact, it does something way more interesting. It actually makes the tragedy even deeper.
So in the source material for this whole analysis, there's this great little imagined dialogue where the warrior Arjuna asks his guide, Krishna, this exact question about the play. Like, why? Why do they just keep on waiting?
And Krishna's answer just cuts right to the heart of it. They've outsourced their purpose. They've literally stopped living their lives and started waiting for some outside force, for Godot, to just show up and hand them a sense of meaning.
See, the Gita doesn't just point out the problem, it actually offers a way out. It lays out a clear path to meaning through things like right action, detachment from results, and this ultimate goal of liberation, or moksha.
But in Beckett's grim, bleak world, none of that exists. There's no wise guide like Krishna to point the way. There's no clear duty to perform, and there is absolutely no escape, no resolution. There is only the waiting.
And this is the real takeaway here. Using the Gita as a lens doesn't give us a happy ending for Godot.
What it does is it shows us what a path to meaning could look like, and by doing that, it makes the characters' paralysis, their suffering, so much more understandable, and in the end, so much more tragic.
So why does any of this matter? Why does a nearly 70-year-old play, seen through the eyes of a 2,000-year-old text, still hit so hard today? Well, because it kind of forces us to take a hard look at our own lives.
So let's just recap the journey we've been on real quick. First, we saw how the Gita lays out this whole philosophy of purpose built on action. Second, Godot shows us the terrifying alternative, a life that's just spent passively waiting. And third, when you put them together, it creates a pretty powerful challenge for all of us. And that's really the final question this whole thing leaves us with. In our own lives, what's our Godot? What are we waiting for to give us purpose, or give us permission, or give us some solution? Are we like Vladimir and Estragon, just stuck waiting? Or are we, like Gita suggests, trying to actively create our own meaning, day by day, action by action?